Welcome to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast, where we help ambitious W-2 employees who want to leave their job in the next 12 months, earn $1 million per year, drive their dream car, pursue their passions, and take control of their life. We'll actually teach you by interviewing people who have replaced their W-2 income through the proven business model of wholesaling real estate, a way to earn big checks by finding discounted real estate and passing it off to an investor who has money and can give you a $25,000 finder's fee for finding the deal. We're going to give you 2 weekly interviews plus 1 expert-led masterclass in front of a live Q&A audience of the DealMachine community, people who are trying to get this journey done themselves. My co-host is Ryan Haywood, whose sales job was cut when his commissions were cut in 2019, so he quit. And his wife was pregnant at the time, so he actually took a 14-day wholesaling challenge and made $8,500 and has gone on to do 400 deals since then in St. Joseph, Missouri. I'm David Lecco, and I created a process for finding off-market deals that has helped people close 10,000 deals in all 50 states, which turned into the software platform DealMachine. Welcome back to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. If you're in a job and you're stuck, you feel like you can't go anywhere else, you can't make more money, you don't have enough vacation time, and you don't know how to get out, this podcast helps you escape that and build a life you love through starting a business. We use a proven business model called wholesaling real estate that's actually a foolproof way for you to escape that 9-to-5, make money, end up hiring out different parts of that business, even if you don't have a ton of money eventually, and then you build this cash machine that allows you to free up your time. And today we've got a very special guest, and Jeremy Beland is actually somebody who's done 350 of these deals. And so I know you guys are going to get a lot of value out of this episode. Now, if you've listened to this podcast before and you want to get updates on the latest episodes, because it's so important to keep yourself motivated by hearing from people who have walked that walk you want to do, subscribe to this podcast. It would also make me and Ryan very happy. Also, if you guys would leave us a review, that's going to help us make more content to get you to financial freedom.
The DealMachine REI Podcast. Everything you need to know to get started in real estate investing.
And Jeremy, I know you've done 350 deals, and I know you made $5,000. Can you show us that $5,000 check from your first deal?
Yeah, I hope it comes in okay on this, but yeah, that's $5,000.
Oh, that thing is shiny.
Yeah, I know. Some ring lights in the background. Sorry about that.
I love that you've got it mounted.
I don't have really an office, so I'm actually in my bedroom. This is just a desk behind me in my bedroom. So go figure. You know, I built a few $1 million businesses in different markets, and I've never done it with an office yet. I just do it from my kitchen table. So welcome to wholesaling. You can do it from your kitchen table. Make a lot of money.
Right, you go. And 350 times 5,000 is a lot of money. A lot of first deals are actually much smaller than the rest. So what would you say your average deal is?
So over the last handful of years, we've averaged about $35,000 a transaction.
What? Wow, that's huge. Okay, yeah. Well, walk us.
Well, we've brought over the years how to spread that out, and you know, it takes time to get there.
Of course, yeah. Well, how much time did it take for you to do that first deal? Could you walk us through in detail?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, so I was brand new to wholesaling when it came in, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I hired a coach. I hired Tom Kroll, who we had wholesaling back in the day. And then, we hit the ground running January 2017. We closed on this property end of March 2017. And, we just basically, what we did is we just sent out a white postcard, handwritten postcard saying, hey, I'm, Jeremy, a house buyer, I want to buy a house. And it was to an absentee owner list. And we found this lady who had a property, and she was like living up in Maine, and this property was in New Hampshire. So she was like 4 or 5 hours away out of state. And she was going through some medical issues at the time, and the house was just an inconvenience. They had plans to do stuff with it. It was getting to a point where her health wasn't going to allow her to do that. I was like, sweet, wait, lock this property up. And then what did I do? I locked it up for too much money.
Oh, no.
I scheduled an inspection walkthrough. So my buyers that I have on my small little cash buyers list at the time, if you come out and take a look at the property, nobody shows up. I'm sitting there for an hour chatting with her, nobody shows up. And then the feedback I started getting was like, guys, I'm not going to look at that. It's way too high. So I renegotiated another price, and then I have another hour-long walkthrough for people to come take a look at the house, and like 1 or 2 people show up out of like, the 20 that said they were going to show up that day. And they're like, it's too much money, too much money.
Mm.
Well, then I go back to her, and she feels bad for me at this point because she sees me trying. I think she knew I was really new, which is okay. When people know that you're new, I think they root for you. They want you to win. And I think a lot of newbies in this space get really nervous that they have to show this like, this like thing of like success. And I've done it a million deals, and that stuff doesn't matter, right? Just be authentic is really what matters. So, I was just showing my vulnerability and trying to fumble my way through. She saw me fumbling this through. She went for another reduction. Finally, I got, after my third time ever, people come up to the house. She's driving down from Maine every single time. We ended up getting the deal locked up, and we, made $5,000 on it. And, listen, that coaching program at the time, that paid for like my investment into the coaching. But the most important thing that people don't understand is that first deal. It's the power of belief. Like, oh my God, this works. I can do this, and I can actually make money doing this. And like, you're like, oh my God, this, and it goes again. And, next thing you know, a few weeks later, you got another deal. And a few weeks later, or a month later, you got another deal. And you start getting some momentum. You're like, wow, this is starting to get some traction. This is awesome. This is fun. But, a lot of people never get that feeling of the first deal, and that power of belief is everything, man. It really is.
Right. And as somebody who actually now coaches through REI Freedom Coaching, you're somebody who's got exposure to that first deal over and over again. So I loved hearing your first one, and I'm curious if you could break down what are some of the issues people have doing that first deal, and how do you break through that?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I think a lot of people are overanalyze, number one. They think they have to be perfect. The second thing I think a lot of people get hung up on is the numbers. And the numbers really don't matter. So when you're brand new, really, when you're as a wholesale and you're working with people off market, those people are typically distressed, whether their properties are distressed or the situation is distressed. Everybody wants to get as much money for the property as possible, but reality is they need help. And what a lot of newbies do is they go in and they start thinking, all right, the Zestimate says it's this, it needs this much repairs. And, like, how do you know what a kitchen costs? Or you know how much a roof costs? Like, you don't know. You're not an expert in that stuff. Don't worry about any of that stuff, right? You need to go in there and lock it up as low as possible. But the only way you're going to do that is by providing value to the seller. So we teach our team and our students, we don't want you focusing on numbers at all. We want you to basically go in there and talk to them and see what's going on with them and get through the objections of them showing their vulnerability to you, right? Because they don't know you. They don't trust you. And you have to give them a feeling that they can share their insecurities of what's going on in their life, why they're distressed, what's going on with them, with you. So now you can find out a way to customize a solution for them. Mm-hmm. And then once you customize that tailored solution out of their problem, you do it for exchange and equity of the home. And know what happens 99.9% of the time? They don't care how much money you make. They're like, thank you for coming into my life and making my life better, giving me a reset binder or helping me out of my situation. So, really when you're new, you really need to be focusing on the questions to ask where you could provide value, getting to let them share what's really going on with you. And how you could help them overcome that and get out of that situation. That is the biggest piece of advice I would give.
Man, I love that advice. And I wasn't expecting it. You said you don't even teach people about numbers. You don't teach them how much they actually would spend on a kitchen. That's really, really awesome. Well, how would you handle a situation like Ryan right before this podcast? Somebody's like, hey, I really just want an offer. I really just want an offer. And they kind of deflect when you're trying to get them to talk about what's going on in their life.
Yeah, so, those situations can be tough. The best thing to try to do is to try to get belly to belly in that situation the best you can. Obviously, that sometimes isn't always the case. But usually when people just want an offer, they are money motivated. And if they're money motivated, again, 99% of the time, they're not the right fit for you. Mm-hmm. All right. So rather than being a deal maker, we're deal finders. So we're out there looking for people that actually need our help. And I'm looking for an offer. And sometimes it may just be an offer because they are just worried about, letting their guard down. So, you just ask questions like, it sounds like you are looking for an offer. Do you have a specific timeline? Is there a reason why you want to give me a number? Is there a number that you have in mind? We try to not do that as much as possible. We just try to say, try to dig in a little bit more. Like, what's your timeline? Is there a reason why you're selling? Is there any other value we can provide outside of providing you an offer? Are there other services that you need outside of an offer? And see if you can get something. If they're just like, I want an offer, I want an offer, I want an offer, chances are that person's just going to shop around for the top bid. And, you don't ever want to get in the bidding war, because then you're going to do a lot of work and make no money.
Got it. Yeah. So tell us how you went about your second deal. You made $5,000. You now make $35,000 on average, but what were the steps in between there?
Dude, my first year I did 10 deals working full time. I made $77,000 gross. So, it really, I just put it back into the business. The second year was the big game changer. I didn't know anything. I was really just taking massive imperfect action, trying to learn what I can, but there wasn't a lot of resources out there to teach you how to, get your first or second deal, but that build something out where you can get many deals every month, right? There just wasn't a lot of resources like there are now. So, my second deal was only $2,500, and I fumbled through it. I was kind of got in a situation where I was a CBE, cash buyer employee, and the guy just beat me down. I had one buyer, and he just basically said, I'll give it to you for this. And I didn't have a big buyers list, so I didn't have a lot of excitement on it.
Right.
Now what we do, we teach our people to build a lot of excitement. So when we get a deal, we get everybody going there, and they want to bid over it. So we create a or with our buyers. But as somebody who's looking to buy properties, I never want to put myself in that situation.
You said cash buyer employee, which those of you who are working a job and you're trying to start a business to build a life you love, if you only have one buyer that you aim to please, you're the simp for this guy, and you're basically his employee, even though you're supposed to have your own business. So the way to make it your own business is to build that buyer's list up so people are bidding. The highest bid is the one you take, rather than just trying to actually please this one guy, right?
Yeah, 100%, David. And you know what? They're going to nickel and dime you. They're constantly going to beat you down. I've been guilty of that when I was early on, and it's very common that happens. Even if you just have a handful, the more cash buyers you have, the more you're going to win, because you are looking to get as much value as you can out of what you're doing, right? Everybody wants to make as much money as possible, but they don't know like how much effort it takes to, work with the seller, get the seller to the closing table, how much money you're spending in marketing and all the time and effort that you do. You should never feel guilty about how much money you make. You're going to be providing a great value to people in your community, and you deserve as much money as possible to make it. And the last thing you want is a cash buyer telling you, no, you shouldn't be making $35,000 a deal. I only want you making 10. No, make
something else I see. We have a few people on our buyers list. Hopefully they're not listening, but if they are, this is something we don't like. We don't like it when you buy 10 properties from us. Look, we are putting a lot of energy and a lot of effort into finding you good deals. Don't come to us and say, hey, can we get this cheaper? Because to me, all that makes me want to do is go back, publish that, and get more buyers that are interested, because the value that we're sending these deals out is already a good deal. Yeah. So this could be a lesson not just for the wholesalers, but those buyers, cash buyers. Be a good buyer. Don't beat your wholesaler down. If you find a wholesaler that will bring you the deal first, don't chew on them about the price. Like, run your numbers. If it works for you, go for it. If it doesn't work for you, then don't. Move on.
And for your wholesalers out there that are new to this or just getting started or been doing this for a while, listen, cash buyers are a dime a dozen. And eventually you're going to be one in this industry. So you don't have to be intimidated by them. Listen, they can all close right away. They're going to say, I need it for $5,000 less, but I'll close next week. What do you do? So can everybody else on my cash buyers list. So don't even worry.
So can I,
Yeah, so can I. One thing I will say, David, and I think this is important, the reason why we've been able to get our assignment, I wouldn't say assignment, but our average revenue per deal of $35,000 is because we use the power of the MLS. So a handful of years ago, we started marketing our properties, pre-marketing our properties on the MLS, and we do that in some of our markets. Now, you can't do that in all markets, and you have to check with your local attorneys and local real estate, commission and all that stuff. But in our markets, you can. And what we do is say, we have a property under contract. We're going to be looking to close this property and immediately reselling it to somebody else. And when you put it on the MLS, you open your world up to a whole nother world of cash buyers. So you may be working with like 50 to 100 cash buyers, right? Here in our New Hampshire, Massachusetts market, we have 1,000 on our list. You put it on the MLS, now you're talking thousands and thousands of people. And what's great about that, right? So you have a property on 123 Main Street, and it just may be, maybe it doesn't need a lot of work, or there's not a lot of room in it, or, it's a 2-family, but it's this style house. Everybody has a preference. And when you have a small cash buyers list, even if you're working with those a lot of times, those guys are going to be like, if you got 1 or 2 guys and you say, hey, I get a deal, they're like, that doesn't work for me. That doesn't work for me. Then what do? You're scrambling trying to sell this deal. But when you have tons of people, now no matter what kind of deal, what property type, what price range, what area, you have multiple people that are going to be bidding you for that property. That's what you want. You want to be able to sell every single property that comes in the door.
Gotcha. So I actually heard you say you did that first $5,000. You and your wife, you worked tirelessly for 3 years, right? And now you've actually grown your business. You've become more mature. You no longer serve 1 buyer, you serve 3. And so I'm just curious, what has real estate allowed you to do with all of that extra time? You told me that you're very protective of your time. Please open up your podcast app right now and leave us a review and let us know what you thought of this episode. It means so much because the reviews help us get in front of more people. And the more people we can get in front of, the more we can help them achieve financial freedom. And we also get more energy to put more content out like this to help you. So by leaving us a review, it will give you more content to come to help you along on your journey. Thank you so much.
Yeah, listen, there's not, for me, I'm going to be 47 years old next month. By the time they hear this recording, I will already be 47. There's nothing more valuable than time for me. And this business has provided me an abundance of time freedom. So I spend a lot of time with my family, my children, my wife, doing things that I want to enjoy. We never miss a kid's event. We're always actively involved. Sometimes they're like, you guys even work, but it took us a while to get there. When we started this business, we were poor, and we were, I sold my townhouse and we moved into a tiny little apartment. My wife and I weren't married together at that time because we're both remarried, and we were both living in tiny little apartments, came together with 5 kids. And then dealing with, a couple of years after divorce, we were also working full-time jobs. We were also blending 5 kids at the same time, and we moved a bunch of times and started this business. So there's no excuses. But, we burnt the candle on both ends for a while, but eventually started to build momentum. And, we were able to pull ourselves out of the business and grow a team. Hustle is, Tom Kroll will say, hustle is a season. It's not a lifetime. So we hustled for a while and built something. Now I still work on my business, so I'm in my business. And, we're in multiple markets now. And since then, since the beginning of 2017, we've gone into multiple markets and we built multiple $1 million wholesale companies.
What's the difference between working in your business and working on your business?
Yeah.
Well,
That's a hard line to follow.
Working on your business can be very boring at times, honestly, because you're really just looking at KPI data and looking at ways to, get more ROI out of your marketing, figure out what marketing channels are working, which marketing channels aren't. So a lot of that is like working on your business and just hiring people, firing people, coaching your team up. That's really what working on your business is. But eventually you can start putting those people in place, and you can just start thinking about, all right, I want my business to go in this direction or that direction. That stuff's fun. You start really feeling like which direction you want to do. You see all these endless opportunities. When you're working in your business, you're still going on the appointments. You're still working with the cash buyers. Hopefully you're not, but you're still sending out the letters yourself every single week and stuff like that, right? So that's working in your business. And when you're working in your business, you're trading time for money still. When you're working on your business, you're now trading what time you've done in the past and your skills or resources and other people's time for money.
Well, so obviously
Can
you
I
have
ask
to
a
actually
question?
work on, you have to do the work yourself. So you have to get to a certain point before you can start working on the business, the machine, right? When do you think that first step is, or when you could hire an assistant or whatever that first step is?
Everybody's situation is different. I was a little late to pull the trigger because I had the golden handcuffs and I was afraid. But as soon as I did, my business took off. So, I think it's something that's an individual choice, but the sooner you can do it, the better. Just rip the Band-Aid off and go, because it's going to change your life. And listen, if I told all your listeners, hey, start wholesaling, start working with DealMachine right now, and get some good coaching, and you bust your butt for the next 1 to 2 years, tops, and then you will never have to work a 9-to-5 job the rest of your life. And you may still be working in the business, but you're in charge of your schedule day in and day out. And you have money coming in that's going to be changing your life, like $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, $10,000. It's going to change your life. Would anybody say, no, that takes too long, I want something shorter? No, I'm going to just continue to work for my 9-to-5 for the next 40 years. I mean, it's amazing. It literally can change your life, but it does take effort. It is hard because you have to commit to it and you have to sacrifice, like watching football games on the weekends, going out with friends, watching TV, playing video games. You have to work in the morning when you don't feel like getting out of bed. You have to work at night, work weekends and all that stuff. But it's a season. It's not your life. It's a season.
Yep. What's on the other side of that is what we all are aiming for. What's on the other side of that is working on instead of working in. There's Jeremy, there's multiple seasons to this whole thing. And sometimes that season can go back to where you're having to be a little bit more involved in the business again.
Yeah.
So, being prepared, everybody wants to say, or everybody has this thought in their head that, well, if I start doing this, I'm never going to have to work. No, you're going to have to work. It is not a work-free job.
No.
Okay, wholesaling, it does take a lot of work and a lot of energy. But what's on the other side of that is what we all want. Freedom of time to be with our family, to do what we want with our friends, to buy the things that we want, to enjoy those experiences, to instead of skipping a football game, going to a football game. That's what we're all working for.
Yeah.
But it does take time.
It does take time, Ryan. And it ebbs and floats, right? So I've been doing this since 2017. Listen, it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows. There's been a lot of times where, especially in the beginning, but even later on, when you have this successful business, some gut check moments. Last year, when the interest rates hiked up, everything we saw for previous, decade before that changed. And we had to navigate this and pivot and do different things. And, like you said, I had to get actively more involved in the business. I'm still on the business, but helping correct the ship. And that's common. So there's definitely seasons where you have to come and go. But the best part about wholesaling, once you get it up and running, whether you're working in the business or on the business, you don't have to wake up to an alarm on Monday morning and get in rush hour traffic ever again. So everybody's super angry because they drank too much at the football game on Sunday night where you were just at. You're like, I'm sleeping at the new time. Then I'm going to stop my day.
Yeah.
I
never wake up to an alarm anymore, but I still wake up at 7 because I have 3 kids. So I don't need an alarm.
I wake up at 5:30 every day because I like to just start the day with exercise and morning routine, but I don't have to. I do it because I choose to. Those are two very different things.
Gotcha. Well, this brings us to a good time to go into the guilt-free profit section of our rapid fire questions here, Jeremy. I know you actually said, don't just serve one cash buyer, have a big buyers list so that way you can make the most profit and they don't beat down your profits. So that was a great segue into this, I felt. I'm curious though, if somebody has a 9-to-5 job like you did for several years, what if you get a call during that work, during that job? Are you like leaving your office to go take that call, or how do you feel about that?
As quickly as possible. Yes. Go to the bathroom, if go on a cigarette break, lunch. The sooner you get back to that lead, the better. Time is of the essence. Do not wait to the end of the workday. I want you to think of this analogy. You're in your house. You have a pipe leak in your house. Your house is filling up with water. You are calling plumbers. The first plumber says, hey, I can come out to your house to stop that leak, is the person you're doing business with. You're not saying, well, let me check to see how much price that is. Okay, let me call 3 other guys to check with. They don't care. Come fix my leak. Those people that you are marketing to, those distressed people, are calling with that kind of urgency. And if you don't get back to them sooner than later, you are going to lose that urgency. Time is a deal killer in this business. Whatever it takes, the best you can, try to find a way to call them, to set up the appointment that night after work. Drive straight there and go walk that baby up.
Love that.
Yeah.
Ryan, what other questions you got?
I'm about ready to start jumping up and down.
He is.
Getting exciting. I would just, my question is entrepreneurship for everyone?
No, I wish it was, but it's definitely not. And if it's not for you, that's okay. And, it is for me, thankfully, but I have 5 children. And as a parent, I've come to realize that it is not for everybody, and that's okay. It's nothing wrong.
What do you think is the minimum amount of money you need to start this business?
So I started this business with $11,000. So, I sold my townhouse at the time, moved into that little apartment with my kids. I was a single dad, divorced dad with 2 young kids at the time. And I took $5,000, bought into the coaching program, $6,000 to get my contracts done, my marketing done, my initial software, and, my LLC. And I've never had to put a dime into it again. So that's all I needed. You probably do it for less if you start driving for dollars with like DealMachine, and you're a hustler and you send out some of those things and cold call, and you could do it definitely on a shoestring budget. Really, you could do it for almost free if you have the drive, honestly.
Ryan, what other questions you got?
Oh man, shouldn't have put me on the spot because I was just in the vibe.
Jeremy, we mentioned the REI Freedom Coaching at the beginning of the podcast. It's exposed you to a ton of people doing their first deal, which is why you've been able to provide so much value on this podcast. But why, as somebody who's done 350 deals and built a business that doesn't obviously need you to run it yourself, have you started coaching others? Why did you start coaching others?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So to correct you a little bit, we're actually closer to 400 now than 350 because the time you got that information, that was like a month ago. A lot of things change fast, which is a good problem to have. So listen, I've grown multiple markets on myself, and I had acquisition guys that were just really skilled, and they were actually have effectively closed more deals than I have. My wife and I used to do all the appointments ourselves for years. But eventually when we started, having our acquisition guys as a sales team, they had more stuff, more appointments and more contracts, and we did more deals. I was limited to what I could provide them for coaching because they were more experienced. So we went out and looked for a coach for acquisition training. There wasn't anybody. I found Dan Tobak. Dan Tobak is a legend in this industry. He comes from the pedigree of Tom Kroll and Todd Tobak. Both of those guys have done amazing things in the wholesaling space for the better part of the last 20 years. And Dan himself has closed almost 1,000 off-market properties himself under his brother's tutelages. So that guy knows a lot. So we brought him in as a coach to coach our guys. And when we did, we saw our sales going like this. And he was just able to provide a lot of value that I just couldn't do that. So I hired him. He came on and started working for us as a director of sales and acquisitions, director of acquisitions and dispositions for us. And then we opened up our Florida market with him. And we ended up getting out of our New York market at the same time. And, he's just been a game changer. The guy knows so much. He's done so much. He's a true go-giver. And it's just his knowledge at the acquisition level is incredible, like truly incredible. So he said, dude, we need to start helping more people like this because there's a need for people who get their first couple deals, and we really need to know the skills of taking that $5,000 assignment to $35,000 assignment, that one deal to many deals each month, and how do the skills you need to negotiate and, overcome objections and handle all that stuff. He has the skills to do that. So we've come together to build REI Freedom, and, I run the business side of it, but Dan is the coach. Dan is the legit coach that knows how to teach people how to make a lot of money sitting belly to belly or over the phone working with distressed sellers.
Gotcha. I'm so glad you did because I know I learned things from this podcast. So I appreciate you sharing that, Jeremy. Where's the best place for somebody to go find out more about REI Freedom Coaching?
Yeah, the best thing you can do is call this number. I'll give it to you guys. It's 772-324-5097. 772-324-5097. That'll give you a call right in. I will call you back, talk to you a little bit more about it if you have interest. You can also follow us on the REI Freedom on Facebook as well. We have a group and Facebook page.
That's the episode, guys. If you liked it, please make sure you subscribe, leave us a review, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.